never ran away, never been afraid. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd and Eden Cummins watch. I'm not going to say what we watch again.
A
movie. And then we talk about it, we discuss it, we share our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions. And hopefully this helps you decide, hey, should I see that movie? I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. And yes, we're here again with Eden. And we are ready to rock and roll. We are wrapping up the last movie in our Rocky Balboa experience series thing that we're doing on this podcast. Which means that we watched Creed 2 today. That's the movie that Todd was referring to.
Yes.
Creed 2. So, bunch of folks in this. Many of the same folks from Creed 1. We have Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan as kind of the main pieces. And then we have Tessa Thompson. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Nice. I've just found out that she's famous recently, so... Good. Then we also have Felicia Rashad reprising her role as Adonis Creed's stepmom, adopted mom. I don't really know. Mom. Yes. And we have Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV fame back on the scene for this movie. And Brigitte Nielsen also reprising her role from that movie. And I don't know what the last movie he was in, but Milo Ventimiglia, or however you say his name.
Gotcha. I mean, just the show at this point. I'm not sure how many movies he's been in. The This Is Us show.
Oh,
right.
Heroes.
Well, yeah.
Also.
I think This Is Us is a little bit bigger than Heroes at this point.
Well, probably. True. But he was also in a previous Rocky movie, playing the same character.
Correct.
So, that's it, I think. Did I miss anyone?
Not really, but the guy who plays Ivan Drago's son has a long name, but it's important to note that his nickname that is in his actual name is Big Nasty.
Yes.
Which I appreciate.
Right. So we'll get into that character in just a minute as I go into what this movie is all about. But there you have it. There's the cast of folks who's in this. So what is Creed 2 all about? Well, it's the follow-up to Creed 1. So Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis Creed, who is Apollo Creed's son, is a boxer, full-time boxer at this point, and turns out heavyweight champion of the world. And so that happens, and he's that, and this is the story of how he feels and what happens to him.
Very succinct.
Yes. But that's not all I'm going to say about that. So, we have Dolph Lundgren, who you may recall his character, Ivan Drago, fought Rocky in Rocky IV, as well as fighting Apollo Creed, and in fact, killing the life out of Apollo Creed in Rocky IV. That's a spoiler for that movie, but we don't care about previous movie spoilers at this point. And so Ivan Drago has a son, Victor Drago, and he's making his way through the Russian Boxing Federation in fairly swift order, and in fact capitalizes on the fact that Adonis Creed is the heavyweight champion and sort of wants to do a callback fight to the previous Creed Drago fight of the fathers of the participants. And so they fight one time, and it ends in a disqualification, and Adonis Creed is still the heavyweight champion of the world. So, where do we go from there? Well, in the meantime, Adonis has gotten married to his love interest from the first movie, Bianca, and they are expecting and have a child during this movie. And this is kind of the main thrust of the movie is what is the fallout from this disqualification bout with Victor Drago, where Adonis is beaten pretty severely and kind of wins just on a technicality, and he has to kind of figure out what kind of man he's going to be, what kind of dad he's going to be to his child, what kind of husband he's going to be to his wife, what kind of person he's going to be in general, really, and what is he fighting for. And so Rocky comes back on the scene to help him kind of recover himself, balance himself, find his balance in life, and train him for the rematch fight, which is the ultimate bout in question in this movie. And they have it, but I will not reveal what happens in that bout. And that is my summary of the plot. So, Todd, what are your thoughts on Creed 2?
Well, I do enjoy Creed 2, so I'll start with that flat statement. Something I noticed this time around of seeing it, because I have seen it before, is that in Creed 1 we have kind of like this parallel of Rocky 1 and Creed. You know, like we talked about that in our podcast of that movie, and you know, that's good. This one, I think a lot of people just kind of like expect it to be the same way, but for Rocky 4. But it definitely touches on Rocky 2. It touches on Rocky 3, and it's I don't think I really picked up on how much it touches on those until this time around of watching it. So like you have the Rocky 2 stuff of like this love interest that he, you know, proposes to his girl and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, they kind of are starting their lives together, and that's good. And then you have some Rocky 3 in there where, like, you know, Adonis takes this, you know, this beating, and, you know, he wins by disqualification, but he, you know, no one really thinks of him as the winner of that fight. So we get some clubber laying action in there when he took out Rocky and how Rocky dealt with that. And, you know, there's parallels in that as far as, like, Adonis saying he's scared, and you know, that's how Rocky felt when he, you know, because then at that point Rocky had a kid. So there's, like, these strong parallels where they were like, okay, well, first Creed, let's mirror it to Rocky 1. And then it was like, let's have all these elements from the other Rocky movies into this one. And I think as a fan, that makes me enjoy the movie, but if I didn't know anything about Rocky or anything like that, this is not a standalone movie. Like, you can't, I don't feel like you can watch this movie without having much knowledge about the other ones and fully enjoy it. You'll kind of just be confused during it. And so, you know, for me, that's not a negative, but I could see how that would be a negative when we're, you know, just straight up reviewing a movie. But otherwise, I think we have strong performances once again. From Stallone, from Michael B. Jordan, from Tessa Thompson, and it just kind of follows this this story that you really, I mean, at least for me, I got really engaged in the story, and it just really, even for, you know, I haven't seen this movie a lot, but even though I've seen it, it really sucked me in again of just being like, I'm here with this character, I'm going through this ride with him and stuff like that. So it's still really good. I think it's not as good as Creed, the first Creed movie, but it's still really good. And I'll let that be it for me because, like I said, I've seen this movie, so I'll give my quick thoughts about that. But I'm curious to see what y'all's thoughts are because, to my knowledge, you all have not watched the movie. So, Eden?
That's true. Everything that you said, I agree with, and was definitely here in the room to listen to. Yeah, and I thought that it was very good. I didn't like it quite as much as the first one, but I loved it as the capstone to what we're doing here. I think, like, as part of the Rocky mythos, it closes it out in a really fulfilling way, and closes out, like, that character story and what he was doing. I think that it treads enough new ground to be fully its own thing. Like, most of the movie deals with him, like, recovering after the fight, and, you know, where Rocky lost the Eye of the Tiger in 3 from, you know, just not really being challenged, and then, like, taking a hard loss. Creed lost it by going against everyone's advice and, like, taking a thing that he probably shouldn't have taken, getting brutally messed up by it, and just kind of coming to terms with what that means for him, his family, his future. And it really just, like, highlighted a thing that I don't think we see enough of in sports movies, which is just the despondency of, you know, someone whose entire identity is that he is a fighter and is capable of winning, losing so dramatically, and with none of the people who matter most to him supporting him in that moment. Like, I don't know, I think it was just, like, very well done and executed and delivered, and I thought that, like, it's very strong narratively, and it's very strong, like, visually. I think it dragged a little more than the first one did. There's a moment during the first Drago fight where I was genuinely questioning, like, is this the end? Or is this, like, this feels like an act break, but is it though? Because I couldn't tell how much time had passed. And I think that it was just like, it pulls everything together. I think that it does a lot of really good things. I did really enjoy myself. I think I would reach for the first one more than I would reach for this one. And I think that of most of the Rockies, if I just had friends over and were like, hey, if you've never seen these, let's just watch one, I think this one would be pretty low on that list. Not through any fault of its own, more so that the rest of the series, I think, just stands higher. Matt.
Well, we may have some differences of opinion about this movie. I didn't particularly like this movie. There were some good things about it for me, and I'll mention those. I thought that the sort of closing out of the Rocky legend was well done. And I thought overall, in fact, the ending sort of post-fight part of the movie, I thought was well done. What I didn't like was Adonis Creed really being a jerk for a lot of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and really, like, being an unlikable character, which I know that they were doing that on purpose, but I didn't like it. Like, it didn't draw me further into the film. Like, I hope he turns this around. It's just like, ugh, this jerk, come on. Get it together here or I'm out. And yeah, some of the interactions between him and his wife seemed like they struck kind of a bad tone. Like, really, that's where you went to, and you know, maybe that's my own experiences in the world. But yeah, I didn't like his character a lot in this movie. And I get that we were having a turn from the first movie where he was kind of like figuring some things out and learning how to win, how to be a boxer. And now we have this new role for him as like, well, you're the champion, and you have all these other pressures on you in life. But I don't know. I didn't enjoy the ride. Certainly not as much as Creed 1. But yeah, I didn't love this one. And I agree with kind of what both of you alluded to. Like, this isn't really a standalone one. You kind of have to have some background to really enjoy this one. And so I would say, if you're watching all of them, of course, watch it. But maybe pick this one. Well, if you watch them in order, you're going to pick it later. But if you're watching them in order of best to worst, I don't think this one ranks super high. So that's what I'll say about that.
Fair enough. I do think this movie, like, you don't really notice it in Creed, because I think things flow a lot better in the first movie, but this one suffers from being a 2-hour movie, I think. Mm-hmm. If it was like a hour 45 maybe, I think that would, like, really condense it and maybe drop some of the stuff that, we all kind of were like, we're kind of getting tired here. But, anywho, let's get to the rating here. That's what everyone comes for. How many sledgehammers in the dirt would you give this movie? A sledgehammer to dirt, to sand, is a training thing that happens in this movie. Mm-hmm. Which for some reason is super satisfying for me to see. I don't know why. Doesn't make sense. But obviously 0 sledgehammers to the dirt is bad, because then you're not working anything and you're going to get, kind of flabby and you're not working yourself out.
Right.
5 sledgehammers to the dirt means you're doing a lot and you're going to be all ripped. And isn't that what we all want in some way or another?
In some way.
Yeah. So, Matt?
Well, I'm going to go with, and I did mention this as a thing that I did like about this movie. I did like the training montage of Adonis in the desert, hitting things with a sledgehammer like the dirt, and flipping tires and having his...
Yes, it's a good contrast to what the first training is. Like, when he first takes the fight, he's trained by someone other than Rocky, who, is like, let's rely on speed and these things that everyone thinks is going to make sense when you battle this guy. But, of course, Rocky's like, that's not going to work. And people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, well, I won, so... But his training is more like, we gotta beat down your body to toughen it up, like, because you're gonna take punishment in this fight. Yeah. If you're not prepared to take punishment and take a lot of it, you're not gonna win.
Yep.
So
I think sorry. The thing with that is that it's also a really nice juxtaposition to the Rocky IV training, which was all like lo-fi stuff in the cold. This was all lo-fi stuff in the heat, and it was just like a really nice juxtaposition of that, and definitely showed like the culmination of everything Rocky has learned throughout his entire life was put into this fight. He trains very specifically for each of the fights in the previous movies, and this is where you see it all come together in how he trains to beat Drago Jr. Here. And it's just like a testament to, the relaxed brain of Mr. Balboa.
Yes. Well said. That was roughly what I was going to say next, but you said it better than I would have. So, cool. Well, I'm going to go with 2.5 sledgehammers into the dirt. I'm going to say this is an average film. It's not a bad film, but it's not a good film to me either. Overall, I guess I am fairly ambivalent about it, and that ties right into my average score. That's very middle of the road. So,
is that your lowest score for a Rocky movie?
I don't know.
I think it is.
It could be.
I think every one of them was above average.
Yeah.
Rocky 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where you put Rocky 5.
Think about.
Yeah.
I think even that was like a 2.7.
It's possible. But
I think Rocky 5 scored shockingly high on the average, and I don't see any of us like having done it as a 4 something.
Yeah.
No, I don't think any of us went to 4 for that one. But I think I was still like 3.7, 3.8.
I think I was like 3.2.
Yeah. Maybe 3.5.
I think Matt was in somewhere in that range. Anyway, the point stands. That's absolutely the lowest. I'll stake my. I'll put my stakes there.
Great. Noted. Stakes have been placed.
Stake my reputation on it.
So that's me. Eden, what do you have to say about this movie and sledgehammers in general?
Yeah, I think that I'm very pro Sledgehammer, and the John Henry Irons imagery that we got from that was very good, especially when you put the bandana over the face.
Uh-huh.
I thought that it was about, like, the number I had in my head before you started talking was probably like 2.7, 2.9. I think I'm gonna land on 2.7. I did really like it, but I don't think it's going to stick with me. Like, I think that I've, like, found myself thinking about all the other ones, and I can see, like, thinking about Creed and, like, internalizing that as a hype-up movie. And this one isn't a hype-up movie. Like, by design, it's, like, specifically not a hype-up movie. And there's just not a place for it in, like, my normal rotations of, like, things that I just carry with me. So yeah, I think 2.7 feels good.
All right.
Cool.
Nice. I think I'm gonna be at, looking at it this time, and I still do really like this movie, and seeing the parallels to the Rocky 2, 3, and obviously 4. I'm at like a 3.5. I still highly enjoy myself. I mean, you get Dolph Lundgren and Stallone in the same movie, and it's probably already going to be above a 3 no matter how it is for me. But, yeah. So
how many times has that happened? 5?
There's 3 Expendables and 2, so 5, I guess. With Expendables 4 coming eventually.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is an interesting, because it's definitely not the end of the Creed movies. Like, I mean, they've pretty much announced there's going to be a next one that will not have Stallone in it. So it'll be the first movie in the Rocky universe that will not feature Rocky. So that'll be an interesting experiment, I think. So I'm excited about it in that aspect. I mean, I'm excited about it in general, but so 3.5. It does have a great kind of, without going into detail, it has a great swan song kind of ending to the whole Rocky arc, as a person and his life, us watching his life basically. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I'm not sure if I don't know what the right word is for it. I'm not sure I've cringed more in a movie. I mean, I'm sure I have, but there's a scene where Adonis pees blood, and it's cringeworthy.
Well,
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. That's just the thought.
Okay. Eden, anything from you?
No, I think that Creed 3 is going to be really interesting. I'm interested in seeing that turn. I think that as Act 2 of a trilogy, this is probably really... I think in the context of that, I would like it more in the context of the Rocky movies. I liked it more than I did, like, of its own merit. Mm-hmm. Absolutely happy to have seen it. Absolutely happy to have been here. It was a great time.
Sweet. Okay, well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with our special guest, Eden. And we reviewed Creed 2, and we gave it an average rating of 2.9 sledgehammers to the dirt out of 5, which may be our lowest rated film in the all the movies of Rocky. But it is our gut reaction, and that's what we'll stand by. In general, that's still an above average, and if you're watching all these movies, for sure watch it too. So thank you for listening to our podcast. Please keep doing that. We'll keep making them, and thank you for participating in the Rocky Balboa. I think we'll have one more episode that's more of an overall holistic look at all the Rocky movies and how we feel about them in general.
And we would love to hear from you, the listeners, if you have another idea of another franchise we should go through. If you want to just throw that out there.
Sure.
It doesn't have to feature Stallone, but if
Yeah.
it were the
And
Expendables.
and it doesn't have to be 8 movies. But
Correct.
but if you're like, man, I love this trilogy, let's do it, then send it to us. You know how to get to us.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, you probably know how to get to us.
Right. If you don't, well, too bad. So, yes, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da-da.
da da da.
Da-da-da.